Okay, so today we're going to talk about how loan officers can create a mortgage lead engine. In other words, what I really want to focus on here today is how you can make use of online advertising for mass lead generation, specifically in 2016, because we know a lot of things have been changing over the past 12 months, and we expect a lot of even bigger changes here for 2016. So there's a lot that we're going to focus on over the course of what is a 4-part mini video series. Okay, so we have 4 separate videos, each with a slightly different angle of what it takes to create a true mortgage lead engine. So let's talk about how the flow works here. Okay, so what you can expect. Now, we're going to start off with an introduction for those of you who are unfamiliar with my tutorials. Okay, so it's quick, easy, painless. Then we're going to focus on the challenges. What are the challenges not only that you tend to face as a loan officer when it comes to lead generation, but what are the big challenges that you can expect for 2016? And then you're going to see 3 Facebook lead generation secrets. Now, it says here 3, but technically I have 4 for you. And just so you know, this is not a retread of what you've already seen. In fact, I would hazard a guess that 99.9% of you watching this have never seen these 4 techniques put to use. Now, we're starting with Facebook. We're starting with Facebook just for the simple fact that A, it's one of the easiest lead generation platforms out there, and B, well, I'll get to that in just a moment. Over the course of these 4 video series, we're going to be covering other platforms as well. But here's what I want to show you about Facebook. Take a look at this. Facebook has its hooks in 84% of all internet users. Now, that's not just in America, that's in the entire planet. So between Facebook and Instagram and its holdings, over 84% of the population uses Facebook products. So you can understand why we're going to focus on Facebook, because from a lead generation standpoint, when you have that much exposure to your audience, well, kind of hard to beat, isn't it? 84%. Think about what that means, folks. That's 8.5 out of 10 people that you meet are regularly using Facebook. And here, what I'm pulling up here now is an infographic that kind of breaks down these statistics, showing what percentage of males versus females, what countries. This infographic even goes into just how often individuals are logging into and making use of Facebook's products. And it's a fascinating infographic. But I show you this again just to drive home the point that Facebook is the obvious place to begin. Okay, if you're not using it properly, if you're not using it as a reliable lead generation mechanism, then you're really missing out. And if you guys want a link to this infographic, I'd be more than happy to send it to you or post it in the comment section of our next 4 mini-series. All right, so extremely powerful and just driving home the point that you need to be using Facebook's products, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or any of the other products that Facebook makes use of. So let's get back to our slideshow here again. Get back to my slides. And again, what we're going to focus on is these 3, or in this case 4, primary Facebook lead generation strategies. So how to build a lead generation engine based on these strategies. Now, for those of you who are new to my tutorials, my name is Chad Weber, and I have been involved in the mortgage industry in one way or another for roughly 20 years now, both as an originator as well as running my own shop, being a top producer repeatedly again and again and again out of large offices. Guys, been involved, know what it's like. So this is coming from firsthand experience. But really my job, what I get paid for today, is as a lead generation specialist. Everything from individual loan officers to top producers to mortgage offices to even big banks, they come to us when they need large sources of traffic. And that's what I deliver. And that's the point of today's recording, is I want to give you access to this free information on things that you can do to boost your lead generation, okay? And this is coming from the angle of online activity as well as advertisement. So if you're anything like me, you enjoy lead generation. Okay, to me, it's a big chess match. I love it. But your typical loan officer finds it annoying. They just want to be a loan officer. Look at the picture here. You kind of face palm there. Okay, most loan officers tell me that this is the annoying part of being a loan officer is while you're wearing all these different hats, you still have to balance and juggle all these things that come together, that should come together to generate leads. But take a look at this red text down at the bottom. I'm not dumb, so why can't I seem to make this stuff work? I actually copied and pasted this from an email that I received within the past couple of weeks. And I can't tell you how often I hear some similar sentiment from loan officers practically on a weekly basis, some sort of variant of this. It's, you know what, I'm a smart person. Why does this never seem to work for me? Why do these other loan officers, who in many cases aren't even as good of a loan officer as me, or maybe they're not as good of a salesperson or as good of a marketer, but how come they're making things work? How come they're closing more loans? How come they're getting bigger paychecks? What is wrong with me that nothing seems to work the way that it should? Does that question sound familiar? Because that's what I hear over and over and over again. So that's why I call this the most annoying part of being a loan officer. But the beauty of the situation is that it doesn't have to be that way. Often it's that the instruction that you've received, well, you haven't really been guided in the right direction and to the right principles and right correct habits to create a lead generation engine. So let's talk about the challenges. Now, I've hinted at 2016 being some new challenges to face, and I firmly believe, folks, that 2016 could be the single most difficult year yet to capture leads online, at least if you're not prepared for it. Here's what you need to be prepared for. Number one, Facebook ad costs rose 54% so far this year. Just in the past 12 months, 54%, and it's continuing to rise. Number two, the number of companies using online advertising is exploding. 27% growth in 2015, growing 5 times the rate of offline advertising opportunities. And finally, more consumers are using ad blockers than ever before. Ad blockers, those are those things that prevent you from seeing banner ads and pop-ups. They just block it all out, okay? So what does that tell us when the number of people who are downloading these blockers rose by 40% in 2015? What does that tell you? It tells you that people are getting annoyed. They're getting frustrated. So do you think they're paying more attention or less attention to advertising? So in other words, let's recap this. Higher costs, more competition, and more people trying to hide from advertising. Does that sound difficult? Well, only if you don't know what we're about to teach you. So what I'm going to show you today is what needs to be done. I'm going to show you how to make these things simpler. So it doesn't need to be challenging. It doesn't need to be the most difficult year yet. It's only if you don't know what to do. Okay, so this should actually be good news for those of you who are prepared to say, hey, yeah, let me learn how to create a lead engine so that things can become more difficult for my competition but become easier for me. I view this as good news. Whenever I see that lead generation is getting more difficult in a particular area, it's good news because your costs can drop significantly when your competition's making all the mistakes. The people are going to jump on and respond to the people doing their advertising the correct way. And they're going to ignore the folks that are doing it the wrong way. So this, again, is a opportunity in disguise if you really pay attention to what the changes are for 2016. Again, people hiding more from ads because of ad overload, as we like to call it, more competition, and higher costs. But we're going to systematically deal with each of these bullet points. Okay, we're going to discuss how to reduce your costs. We're going to discuss how to outperform your competition, and we're going to discuss how to appropriately approach your potential consumer or your potential customers in a way that makes them want to take action. So I'm going to show you lead generation sources in the coming 4 videos that you've never even seen before. Again, I don't want you to think that this is going to be another Facebook type tutorial. Okay, we're starting off with Facebook, but we're going to discuss YouTube. We're going to discuss about 2 or 3 ad platforms that I'm sure you've probably never even seen before, or at least you're unaware that you can advertise with. And I'm going to show you some ad structures, again, that you've probably never been exposed to. This is what the big boys are using when it comes to lead generation. So let's move on to our next slide here. All right, so just to recap, before we start heading live to the web here, I just want to drive home the point, guys, that the web in general is changing. What worked then, even what was being taught a year or a year and a half ago, is not what works today. Okay, you must evolve with the market, not against it. Don't resist it. Adjust how you get your traffic, adjust how you engage with your traffic or prospects, and then adjust how you differentiate yourself from your competition. We can't stick with what worked a year ago or 2 years ago. The solution is that A, we must find a way to reach prospects first. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's been shown time and time again that when it comes to finance and real estate in general, individuals, borrowers tend to go with the first person that they actually have a physical conversation with. So, if you can be the first person to reach them, what do you think happens? Your chances of getting that deal go through the roof. Number two, you must approach and engage with content, not this in-your-face advertising. Okay? Things are changing on the web. We need to approach with content. Content is king. So again, we're going to change the way that we appear to our prospects. And then finally, we need to learn or find a way to follow our prospects throughout the decision-making process. This is what we call lead nurturing, right? Well, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And there's some really, really clever ways to do it that will boost your lead conversion rate. But we're going to go over the details of this and start showing you some strategies here right now. So I hope you're ready because we're about to go live to the web. Now I'm showing you the slide here now, but we're actually going to go live to the web and we'll come back to this slide. A lot of people like to joke, what does that mean? Gender parting. But I'm going to show you what this means in relation to Facebook. So let's head back to the web here, and I'm going to open up a fresh tab and go straight to Facebook. And what I want to do is go to my Facebook Ads Manager. So we're going to head on over to my Ads Manager here, if you give me just a moment and let that load. You see that it's loading now. Okay, now I'm going to click on the green button to create an ad. So I'm actually in my Ads Manager dashboard. And now we're going to pretend that we're going to create an ad here. Okay. What I want to do is a send people to your website style ad, as you can see here. That's the third from the top. And I'm just going to enter in a dummy old URL just for the heck of it so we can click on our next button, and that is to set our audience and budget. That's where we want to be, is right here on this page that we're about to be redirected to. So I clicked on that blue button, and now Facebook says, okay, who would you like to see your ads? Who would you like to reach? And what I want to do is draw your attention to the gender portion here of the ad audience, because most times a lot of these guys teaching you tell you, okay, just put in your target city and state and what age bracket, and then boom, they just move you right past it. But here's where we get to the interesting part is typically you're being told to put in your target city, target state, age, and all that good stuff. But in reality, this is where you can have a significant impact on the effectiveness of your campaign. But I want you to think about your typical gurus, your typical trainers out there, as they're telling you to create these ads. What do they tell you to do? They kind of gloss through and run through this section right here real quickly by going, okay, you're going to put in your target city here. Let's say I want to target Chicago or San Diego or something along those lines. And you're going to put in your age down here, and they just tell you to put in an overall bracket. And then they come down here, gender, we're going to leave that at all. Big mistake. Big mistake. Instead, here's what I want you to do. I want you to select one or the other. So let's say that I'm going to target women. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through and I'm going to finish creating my ad, targeting women only. When I'm done with that, Facebook gives me an option to clone the ad I just created. And they do that by showing you a button that says create a similar ad. And it will clone all of the settings you just set, but allow you to make edits to it. So I can actually clone this ad set, and the next time I'm going to activate men only for my targeting. Why am I doing that? Why am I targeting? Why am I targeting in this way? Well, let's go back to our slides real quick and we'll see here really quickly. So, big question for you. When it comes to advertising, does everyone respond the same way to ads? No, they don't. They're influenced based off of everything from their age to their gender to their income level. There's a reason why we have something called demographics in the advertising world. Well, here's the deal. Even my own tests, what I found is that when I separate and specifically target one gender group with one ad and the other gender group with another ad, I pay 12% less for my clicks and I generate 9%, so almost 10% more leads just by clicking that simple button of women only and men only and running individual ads to them. Why does that work? Well, for one thing, the amount of money that Facebook charges you, you've heard me say this a million times before, so I'm going to say it again. The amount of money that Facebook charges you on your clicks is directly dependent on what's called your CTR, your click-through rate, right? And the reason for this is Facebook wants to see how well people are responding to your ads, and when they respond better, you pay less. When they respond worse, you pay more. So when we're lumping both genders together, pretending that they both are going to respond identically, we're guaranteeing that our CTR rate is going to be pulled down by whichever gender group is not responding as well. So it makes more sense for us to instead separate them so that when one is responding poorly, it's not going to pull down the other group that's responding well. It's not going to pull down my click-through ratio. So that gives me the opportunity to turn my attention to the group that's not responding as well, going, maybe it's just a bad picture that they're not responding well to, or maybe it's just a little tweak in the headline or something. But it allows me to pay less for the well-performing ad group and to turn my attention to and independently tweak the group that's responding poorly so that I can now have two groups that are responding well. But we cannot stick our head in the sand and pretend that both groups, both genders, respond identically to the exact same imagery and the exact same headlines, okay? That's just marketing 101, right? We should already know this, but nobody's teaching this, right? So stop listening to those people when the gurus are telling you. If somebody's telling you just to lump them all together, don't listen to anything else they have to say. That calls into question their legitimacy and how much have they really run these ads if they don't even know to make such a simple tweak, okay? So be careful who you take advice from. All right, so splitting our ads doesn't mean we deploy wildly differing ads. It often means something as simple as just swap out an image for one group over the other. Right? If I'm targeting mostly women, then maybe my images should have women in it. If I'm targeting men, then maybe my ads should have men in it because they need to self-identify. Okay? Now that's just one approach. There's lots of other approaches, but I'm just giving that as an example. All right, so let's keep going. Now, technique number 2. Now, technique number 2 is something that we call day parting. And this is very similar to what we just discussed with the gender groups, is we're going to split what times of days we run our ads versus what times of day we don't run our ads. Now, here's the thing, is when you're running ads on Facebook, what you'll probably find, if you sit back and observe for maybe a week or two how well your ads are performing, what you'll find is you have these dead zones, or what I call dead zones. These are time periods where your ads just aren't pulling that well. Now, for me, I was blown away to find out that from midnight to about 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, I was actually pulling very, very well, but I had a dead zone right around rush hour. Okay, so sometime around 3 o'clock to about 5:45 to 6 p.m., I was getting almost no clicks, and when I was getting clicks, I wasn't getting conversions. And again, going back to what we just discussed with the gender grouping, when you have poor performance blended in with the great performance, it's all averaged out so that poor performance actually drags down your excellent performance. So why on earth would we want to keep running our ads during times of the day where we consistently get poor performance? Just by shutting off, by just logging in around that time frame, around 3 o'clock, when I know, now don't assume that 3 o'clock is going to be poor performance for you as well. This is just for me, my experience in my target areas. Okay, but if I just keep running them from that 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock time period, what I found is I'm paying about 15 to 20 cents more a click, and Facebook starts showing my ad less during the busy times because they're taking that as a signal that, maybe the ad's not performing as well at the moment. So they stop showing it as often. So it's not just the fact that I'm paying more, it's the fact that Facebook shows my ad less when my performance drops. So doesn't it make sense to just stop running during those times of day where your performance drops? It only takes a moment. Let's take a look. I'm going to go into my Facebook Ads Manager again. I'm going to take a look at these ad campaigns over here. And to the left of each ad campaign, when I'm logged into my ads manager, you'll see I have this little toggle switch that I can turn my ads on or off. So it's as simple as just logging in right when you're getting to that dead zone time period of the day and clicking to toggle these off. Right now they're already off because these aren't running. This is just a dummy campaign. But if it were running, it would be showing in the on position. So I'd come in and say, oh, okay, it's about 3 o'clock, so boom, let me just pause my ads by toggling that switch. And then after 6 o'clock, when I'm ready for them to run again, boom, I toggle them back on. It's that simple, guys. It takes 10 seconds that could save you not just money, but also get you more leads because Facebook will keep showing your ads more when they're performing better. Your averages all over the board improve when you stop running during your dead zones. So does that make sense? What we do is we don't just jump in and make an assumption after just 1 or 2 days. Again, I want you to run your ads for 1 to 2 weeks and observe the patterns. See what times a day your leads are coming over and see what times a day your clicks are dropping and your CTR rate is dropping by logging into your Facebook Ads Manager dashboard, and just pay attention. You don't have to do anything special. Just look for patterns. That's all we got to do here. And then after 2 weeks, go back and analyze and say, these are my dead zones. These are the time periods where I'm not getting great results. I'm going to start pausing them. Now, for those of you that find that annoying, yes, there is software out there that can automate this, where you just tell it what time of day to automatically shut off and turn on by itself. But, and I can recommend such software to you, but in the beginning, guys, I really want you to do this manually to make sure you're getting it right before you start spending money on software to do that sort of thing, right? Let's make sure we got the basics down and established before we just start throwing money at stuff, okay? So that's the best recommendation I can give you. All right, so let's go to technique number 3. And now we're going to talk about zip code splitting. So zip code splitting, guys, is you see a pattern here, is we're not just allowing our ads to just willy-nilly target big groups of people. Instead, we're getting specific because that's what works in 2016. Those are the changes that we saw by the end of 2015 that are greatly influencing success rates. So moving into 2016, this is what we need to do. Is, again, just like with the gender groups and just like with different times of day, we can't just lump everything together. We can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to go after this city and that city and this city, and because they're all in near proximity, they're all going to respond exactly the same. No way. No way, guys. It doesn't work. Heck, I can go just 6 blocks down the road and hit a neighborhood where nothing's selling, nobody's buying homes, but then go a mile in the opposite direction and hit a community where they can't even keep inventory and homes sit on the market for just 3 days and they're sold. So why would we assume that all areas respond exactly the same? It doesn't work that way in real life, does it? So with zip code splitting, what we do is we clone our ads using the create similar ad button that I discussed with technique number 1. And we put one city or one zip code out there, and then we put another city or zip code out there, and then we put another city or zip code out there. Then we sit back and watch and see which cities and zip codes are responding well and which are responding not so well. So that way, the poor performing zip codes or cities are not having negative impact on your ad campaigns for the well-performing areas. Okay, so it's simple enough. It's not going to take you a lot of time, and it allows you to reduce your costs and boost your performance. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, which is it? Do I separate by zip code or do I separate by city? And the answer to that question, that's a great question, by the way. The answer to that question is, well, it depends. It depends on the size of your city. So if you're in a dinky city that has 30, 40,000 people, then in that case, you're probably not covering a whole bunch of zip codes, are you? So in that case, you're probably going to need to lump together multiple cities, so I would just separate by city. But if you're in a large city, 250, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, million plus people, well, now you probably cover all sorts of zip codes. In that case, let's separate by zip code. Okay? So that's my recommendation number 3. And again, the first 3 that I've given you, if you just implemented those 3, boom, you're going to have almost immediate drop in costs when you're running your ads. And you're going to have an almost immediate bump in performance as to how often Facebook is showing your ads. So you get in front of more people, and with a higher CTR rate, that typically transforms into what? More leads, right? So this is all part and parcel of creating a lead engine, is implementing strategies that your competition is not, and caring enough to get specific with your ads. None of this is rocket science. This is easy as pie. You just got to take the time to go do it. And you can automate it all after the fact, but I like people to get their hands dirty, because that way you know what you're doing and you know why it works. And when you know why it works, it makes it easier to know what to do. So age splitting is our technique number 4, and this is similar to the other 3. Do you think that individuals that are in their early to mid 20s have the exact same questions and concerns and life experiences and buy with the same considerations as somebody in the 55 to 60 age bracket? Heck no. Typically, individuals in the 20s tend to be more first-time home buyers, right? Whereas individuals in their 50s, well, they may be in the luxury market, or they may even be downsizing, but they've had experience buying homes before, so we're not going to market to somebody who's bought 5 or 6 homes in the past 20 to 30 years as somebody who's buying their first home. They're different groups with different concerns. So why? Why are the trainers telling you to lump them all together? Okay? That doesn't work anymore. Maybe back when the ads were cheap, maybe back when ads were even cheaper, that was easy to get away with, but in 2016, not going to cut it. So if somebody's teaching you that, you got to question, do they have your best interest at heart? Because they're teaching you to lump things together, which just does not work. All right, so what we do is the exact same thing as the previous technique. We are going to click to clone an ad, and we're going to break these groups, and we're going to break these age brackets into specific groups. Now, typically what I like to do is mid-20s to about 30 is going to be one group for me. And then 30 to about 40, because, okay, that's kind of your midlife where you got growing families and whatnot, and they have their own little concerns and considerations. So we're going to market to them differently than, say, somebody that, maybe in that 50, 60, or 70 age bracket, right? Very different concerns. So I typically separate by 3 groups. Now, it's up to you which groups you want to choose, because you know your marketplace better than I. I'm not in your marketplace. I can't tell you what's going to work with your target demographics. Generally speaking, I've seen the best success by lumping into the groups that I just described. So in those 20s to 30s, I don't go the early 20s like 21, 22. I generally go 25 up, 25 through 30. And in some areas, you might even go 26, 27, 28 and up if you're in a more luxury area. But again, you know your marketplace, so you can experiment by lumping those different age brackets. But what you'll find is, again, better performance because of specificity. Okay, so I hope that you found value in the 4 techniques that I've shown you today. And was I right in assuming that no one's really taught you these simple tweaks? It doesn't take much to implement. These are just simple little point and click changes that can have significant, meaningful impact on your advertising. But in the coming weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to go over lead generation funnels. All right. And in fact, even on the page that you're on now, if you're on the mortgageadsclub.com page watching this video, you're going to see downloads each day, or each video that I deploy. I'm going to give you downloads and mini guides to help supplement, to make sure that you're implementing. I recommend printing these out. But as we go forward, our big focus is on additional lead generation strategies, focusing on areas of lead generation that no one's really been teaching you. Okay, so I'm really, really excited to show you. As you can see here, we're going to be talking about YouTube. We're going to be talking about paid traffic platforms. We're going to be talking about lead flow, all of these great traffic sources for 2016. So I got some really neat things in store for you. I absolutely can't wait to hear your feedback. So here's what I ask. If you like these types of free tutorials, please comment down at the very bottom of the screen, or if you're on my YouTube channel watching this, then give me a thumbs up. Click to like this and click to give me a little comment. I like feedback, guys. These videos are live. They're not scripted. I have absolutely no script sitting in front of me. I talk this stuff as it rolls around in my head, because this is what I do. I know the material like the back of my hand. So I customize it based on your feedback. So if you have questions or feedback, just let me know in the chat box, or let me know in the YouTube video, or if you just like it, give me a thumbs up and tell me. All right, because that's what inspires me to do more. When I see that appreciation and feedback, and hey, these guys really like this and they're learning from it, it makes me want to do more. Also, if you see here on this page,
join me on Facebook, all right? I just in the past week, I set up a new Facebook profile specifically aimed at loan officer marketing discussions, because a lot of you guys were connecting with me on my personal profile. But take a look at the screen here, facebook.com/loan marketing Chad. Just go there and click to join me, click to connect with me, and this is where you'll get the freshest announcements and updates and tips, because I'm posting there practically every day now. All right, so I'm going to be spending a lot more time there. If you like this sort of instruction, join me on Facebook and you'll be one of the first to hear about it. All right, so thanks again, guys. I will see you on our next video. Make it a great day.